Good morning. I'm a minute late. I'm late. I'm late for a very important date. To no time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. Oh, good morning. Let me say good morning to everybody in the chat. For those who decide to tune in right now, there's nobody, and I'm used to speaking to myself. Talk to myself all the time. So that's okay. I'll just sit here and talk to myself and enjoy my tea until somebody pops on. Oh, good morning, friends. Good morning, Denise. Oh, I spelled friends wrong because I was in a hurry. Oh, I didn't get much sleep last night, so I was just kind of like running around trying to throw on some clothes. Good morning, Gwen. And kind of get dressed. I did minimal makeup today, and I have a request of you guys. If you notice me going cross-eyed, that's intentional. But if you see something going on when it's not intentional, I won't do it intentional again throughout the broadcast. But if you see my eyes go wonky, let me know. Because today, while I've been walking around, my vision, I feel like this eye is messing up on me. And I put very minimal makeup on today. Not that y'all want to know my medical history, but a couple days ago, I started noticing this eye was hurting. And up here in my eyelid, you can probably see it's a little swollen. I got a sty in the actual eyelid way up there, and then I've got one on the edge as well. So I'm dealing with two styes, and they're so painful. I feel like I have a grape nut stuck in my eye, and every time I blink, it's like blinking with a grape nut. And so I was up last night with hot compresses. And good morning, Major. I don't have a pen, but hello. So I didn't get much sleep last night. So I didn't get up, do my hair, anything. I just threw some clothes on, figured we'd get together for our tea and go from there. But when I was running around getting ready, I noticed my vision was very blurry, and it just felt like this eye was kind of just like doing its own thing. So it's this eye. You can see it's swollen. If you see me, looking funny or something, let me know. So today we are going to pick our tea and see what we get. Major is from London, so he can let us know if we're doing tea right or wrong. And so, Major, this is your first day joining us for our tea. And what I do is Papa Jim was so kind, and he got me 24 days of tea. It's a little advent calendar. I know they're so painful, and I just don't know, what happened. I used a mascara a few days ago, and I'm wondering if it was just old. So I'm going to throw that one away. Might have had a little bacteria or something. So anyways, I have 24 days of tea. It's an advent calendar, Major. And every day we've been coming on here and pulling out the tea of the day, steeping it to proper temperature and everything. And then we try it and see how we like it. So yesterday I needed to jump up in my pajama bottoms. Did anybody notice I was wearing pajama bottoms? They're Cookie Monster pajama bottoms. And I've seen people like shamed on the internet for wearing these pajama bottoms out in public. I thought, oh, who's going to notice that I'm wearing Cookie Monster pajama bottoms? Good morning, Yossi. Hello. So I have everything today because yesterday I had to get up and get some things. So I have my lemon juice. I went to the store yesterday and I forgot to buy the lemons because this was starting to bother me so much. It's just like, I just want to get home. I forgot the lemons, but we'll talk about my shopping experience in a little bit here. So I was up last night till like 2 or 3 in the morning with hot compresses. And you know what was really neat was yesterday I had not emptied our little tea infuser. I had not emptied it, and all of those beautiful green tea leaves were still in my tea infuser. So I made a little poultice with the green tea leaves, put it on my eye last night, and then did hot compresses over it. Did that every 15, 20 minutes throughout the night last night until I was just so tired. I was finally able to go to sleep despite the pain. So have you heard how you get styes? It's not pink eye, styes, bacteria and ingrown hair. I've read last night that my diabetes might be contributing to this, but it's not pink eye, so I don't know where you're going with that one. Nobody has tooted on my pillow to the best of my knowledge. So let me know where you're going with it, Denise. So let's go ahead. I don't have a mail call this morning. My iPad is fully charged, so we're going to be able to do a story today off of my blog, and then we're going to do our testing for our tea. And then I was going to share a little bit with you about, you'll private message me. Okay. lost my train of thought. Anyways, let's see what tea we have today from our tea advent calendar. Now, Major has not seen the tea calendar yet, so we're going to open it up so he can see the beauty of the tea calendar. Where is it? There we go. Isn't that adorable, Major? It's got this cute little diorama in there of the Christmas tree with all of the little presents and a bird and a fox. What other little animals do we have in there? Just the fox. Oh, 2 little mice. There's 2 little mice on top of this little present right here that are frolicking and playing. A bird here. There's a little mouse back here in the back, and then we've got the bird up top. So let's see. Today is the 8th. So day 8 is going to be right up here in the corner here. I'm going to grab day 8 and pull that out. And we're going to put day 7 back in. Yesterday was a beautiful green tea from Mount Fuji, Japan. It was a Japanese green tea. I'm going to pop that right back in there and do it as clumsily as I can. There we go. Okay. So we have day 8. This is our first blue box. Grandma always made us rub the sty with a gold ring. Interesting. I did the green tea leaves last night, and I know if you get an eye infection, potato juice is very good to use. That's an old wives' remedy. So I haven't gotten to that point, but I am a little hurting today. So let's see what we have for day 8. That's Yossi's favorite number. We're going to go ahead and I'll get my glasses on. And let's read and see what day 8 says. Okay. Oh, it's a pretty one. We don't know what it is yet, but look, guys, it's another pretty tea. It looks like it has all kinds of goodies in it for us to steep today. Isn't that lovely? And it's got a warning on it. So if you get one of these advent calendars, they do let you know when it contains nuts in case you have a nut allergy. So this one contains hazelnuts and chestnuts. Very nice. Reminds me of a joke that I cannot share with you here unless I want to lose my channel. Use your imagination. Okay, so this one is called Roasted Chestnut. Okay, let's read the back of our box to see what our ingredients are in this roasted chestnut. So all of our ingredients are listed for every tea right here on the back. Yummy, says Yossi. Okay, roasted chestnut. I have to find it because they're not in order. Some of the names of these, though, I have not cheated. I have not checked anything. But as I'm looking, sometimes a little name pops out at me. If you can't stay with us, make sure you hit the thumb on the way out. Share the link if you think somebody would enjoy seeing what kind of tea we have today. And make sure you hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, which I believe everybody here has, I thank you for joining me today. Roasted chestnut. I found it right here. The ingredients are black tea, apple. So we have apple and citric acid. So it'll be a dried apple chunks, which you probably saw when I held it up close. Candied pineapple. Oh my gosh. Brittle, which is a hazelnut brittle. Oh my gosh. Brown sugar, natural hazelnut and cream flavoring, roasted chicory root, honeybush, chestnut, and stevia. So hopefully we won't have to sweeten this one. And it's going to have all kinds of yummy things in it. So this is going to be a black tea. We're going to go ahead and heat our water to 200 degrees in our fancy new tea kettle. And we will be steeping this for 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get our tea kettle started. And again, 200 degrees. Now, it says it was a black tea. So why is it 200 degrees and not 200 plus at a rolling boil? It says it's a black tea. I thought black teas had to be at the full boil, but maybe because it's a fruit infusion as well. So we've got it at 200. We're going to go ahead and start it. I really am loving this new tea kettle that Papa Jim got for me. And it heats the temperatures just to what you want. I can remove it from its base. I'll show it to you when we get ready to pour our tea. So let's take a closer look at our tea while our water is heating up. It sounds like a good cake, doesn't it, Yossi? So let's look at it again here. You can see all of the pretty little bits and pieces. If I roll it around, maybe some more will come to the forefront. You can see the bits of apple. You can see the bits of nuts as a toffee, so it will melt into the coffee or into the tea. So good. Let's see what we get. So first we're going to give it a little sniff test here. Oh my goodness. Who's ever walked into like a See's Candy or a fudge shop where you can smell like the nuts and the toffees and the fudge? Oh, I could just sit here and sniff this tea blend all morning. I'm really hoping it tastes as good as it smells, because if it does, this will be a new favorite. Oh my goodness, that smells so good. You know what? I washed my little teacup up this morning and I didn't grab it, but I'll grab it while we're doing our blend here. So I'm going to bring the camera down. We're going to pour our tea leaves into our little infuser here. So let's go ahead and get that started. There we go. We'll lift the lid on this. And so you can see the tea blend again. There it is. And this is 2 servings. We get 2 servings in each little tin. And my water's heating up. I can hear it. So we're going to go ahead and just put half of what we've got here. I saw candied pineapple. I just saw the candied pineapple go in. That looks to be about half. There we go. And we will just set this aside until our water is fully heated. There we go. Your first thought was potpourri. Oh my gosh, to see the little bits of pineapple in there. Let me grab my cup real quick. Okay. Made the mistake of walking over to get my cup with the glasses on. So now I'm like, woo, woozy, woozy, woozy. Let me put the lid back on my tea. This smells so good. Oh my goodness. I am hoping that Marla from Snow Gardener 307 chimes in, because she can let us know what she thought of this one. Again, this one's called Roasted Chestnut. I am intrigued by the candied pineapple. That sounds so good. So good. Okay. We should be ready to pour here in just a second, but let me tell you about my trip into town yesterday to go shopping. Not only was I not feeling well, but I'm just so disenchanted and disheartened with the price increases, especially out here in the rural areas. Because can you believe that a thing of biscuits now, which I can make my own biscuits, I was just noticing it when I was walking around because I had a big coupon. If you buy 6 of the biscuits, you get $3 off. And I thought, okay, it's always nice to have some biscuits on hand just in case I want to make some biscuits and gravy for Papa Jim and I don't want to make homemade biscuits. $6 a container for biscuits, the Grand's biscuits. Oh my gosh. You don't know that you've ever had a chestnut. I don't know that I have either. I certainly have never roasted them on an open fire. So this will be interesting because I don't know that I've had a chestnut either. So I went grocery shopping yesterday and I did the self-checkout. And I had 4 little bags, just 4 little plastic bags. I didn't get the paper bags. It's not like I had paper bags stuffed to the brim with groceries. There's our water. I had 4 little plastic bags. And again, 2 items, maybe 3 items in each bag. I did not get very many things. Didn't get much. And it took me back to when I saw the total. It took me back to when Papa Jim and I first had our very first apartment, and we had to set up our first apartment. So we went to the Kroger grocery store and we got all the necessities, like the salt and the pepper and things to put in the pantry and just some general, milk and eggs and things like that. And we checked out. Now, remember, we were very young. He was not quite 18. So he was 17, not quite 18. And I was 16. And I remember the tally on that bill was $80 here or there. And I felt so guilty that he had to spend his money that he'd worked so hard for, $80 at the grocery store. I just felt terrible that bill was, but our cart was full. We had a full cart of groceries for $80. So here I had these 4 little bags yesterday of just random little things like a bunch of cilantro, a red onion. What else did I get? Just little things. Some hoagie rolls. I wanted to make some meatball subs for Papa Jim for dinner this week. So a little thing of hoagie rolls from their bakery. Little things. And $40. $40. I think I got maybe 10 or 11 items at best. And these are not high dollar items, $40. I was just so upset. Good morning, Marlene. We were just talking about you. Did you feel your ears ringing? Guess what our flavor is today, Marlene? It is roasted chestnut. Have you tried roasted chestnut? Was that in your advent calendar last year, or have you tried it yet? It is so pretty. Have I tried Lady Grey tea? No, or Lady Grey. I have not. Major, I am not a tea person. So this is a whole new experience for me. So Papa Jim got this advent calendar for me. We got the really nice tea kettle because I've learned that you have to steep different teas at different temperatures. We got our little infuser here. And so I'm learning about this as we go. Everybody in the chat yesterday was very helpful with my green tea. Loved it. It was so good. Merry Mistletoe is what Marlene has today. So good. I loved that one. I loved the Merry Mistletoe, but she hasn't tried the roasted chestnut yet. So that's what is in our infuser today. I'm going to go ahead, bring the camera down. We're going to pour our water. It has been heated to 200 degrees, and we're going to see if we get a little bit of a tea leaf dance today. We're going to steep for 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll pick a story to read while we're letting our tea steep. So here we go. We're going to bring this down to our infuser right there. And let's pour our water. I'm not going to pour as much water as I have been lately. My tea cup, I think, is 12 ounces, and I really think I should go maybe more for 8 ounces. So I just think we're going to go to about there maybe. How's that? And we've got just a little bit of a tea dance going there. You can see everything rising and lowering and rising. There is candied pineapple in here. There is chestnut toffee. Oh, it smells so good. Black tea, apple bits, all kinds of yummy, yummy stuff. So we're going to close the lid on our infuser. We're going to set it aside, and we're going to let it steep for 3 to 5 minutes. I did not bring my phone over with me. It is 10:34 now, so we're going to try it. I'm going to go for the full 5 minutes. And let's see if we can find a story on my blog today. I was able to charge my iPad yesterday. I don't know why it was giving me so much trouble, because even though it died and said it wasn't charging, when I finally plugged it in somewhere else, it said it was charged up to 50%. I just think it was being a total booger. So let's see if we can open up the blog and find a story for today. We had a good story. Yesterday, I laughed so much. I told Papa Jim when he got home, I said, I was laughing so hard when we got done with that story yesterday. It was so funny. Because the holiday season is about families and getting together and appreciating each other, let's do this one. I found this one right here. You might appreciate this one. It's called A Family Reunion. ... Just not mine. You love the daily tea. So happy I could make it today. I'm so glad you're here, Marlene. And it's because of you. It's because of you, because you did this last year. It's like, I want to try tea. I had never really been inspired to try tea before until you did the advent calendar last year. I had discussed it with Papa Jim. I said, isn't this the neatest thing? And he ordered it for me without me even asking. All I had to do was talk about it, and he ordered it for me. It was so wonderful. I have a tickle in my nose. Let me grab my glasses. We're going to start our story partway through. We'll have to go ahead and pour the tea. I stopped drinking coffee and I drink mostly green tea, several 16-ounce cups a day. That's wonderful, Yossi. Is it, are you feeling any benefits from drinking the green tea and stopping the coffee? I'll be honest with you. I had a coffee this morning when I first got up after 2 hours of sleep. And then I did have a little breakfast. So in case we had green tea, I wouldn't be consuming on an empty tummy. So let's go with our story. And again, it's called A Family Reunion, Just Not Mine. What to do on a lazy Saturday afternoon. My husband and I are always trying to find some place new to explore, which if you've been following me lately, you know I'm going off and doing all kinds of weird things. I try to find unique and interesting things to do. When did I write this? December 1st, 2010. So this was 12 years ago. So my husband and I are always trying to find some place new to explore, something new to do. One such Saturday last year, we ventured out to Victoria Gardens with a friend. It is such a beautiful place to shop, eat, stroll, and people watch. So Victoria Gardens is in Southern California, and it's like a very large mall complex. You have the main mall, and then you have these little walkways and gardens and pathways and rose gardens and different shops and restaurants. It's like its own little town. It's very, very nice. Oh, goodness. So all these wonderful things plus people watching. Oh, how I love to people watch. If only I would just stop at watching. I usually try to interact in some form or fashion, usually inappropriately. I can't help myself. Oh, hello from London, Equus Eyes. I hope I'm saying that properly. Tea makes everything better. Yes, well done, Jim. Wasn't that wonderful for him to buy that for me? It is now 10:38. Let me know when we hit that 5-minute mark. I think we're at about, what was that before, 10:34? Couldn't remember. My brain is fried. Okay, on to our story. We'll read another paragraph. My friends will tell you of instances where I will walk right up to an elderly couple in a restaurant and try to join them for lunch. Of course, on their tab, insisting that their friends that they were expecting had called me, wanted me to let this couple know that they couldn't make it for lunch, but to just go ahead and get me whatever I want and that their friend will pay them back later, which, you know, is always met with confused looks. They just look at me like, who are you? Oh, your friend called. Yeah, they can't make it for lunch. I'm going to join you for lunch today. And they said, just put it on your tab and they'll pay you later. And they're just like, what? I love the confused looks they get. And of course, I always come clean and let them know it's just a unique way of breaking the ice and saying hello and meeting them. I love to walk up to old people in Home Depot when they're driving those little handicap carts. Now that I read back on it, I realize I've had to use those handicap carts since my cancer diagnosis. I lean over and I whisper in their ear that there's a nut loose behind the wheel. They study the steering wheel, looking for a malfunction in their little cart, and then they realize they're the nut I'm talking about. It is classic. It always brings a smile. I have yet to have anybody threaten to hit me over the head for implying that they are the nut loose behind the wheel. Yossi says, I was released from the army and left with 2 packs of cigarettes and 12 cups of coffee a day. Oh my goodness. That's not healthy. Continuing on. Did you see that lady at the auto mall the other day? She was wearing a coconut bra and a grass skirt, and she jumped up on stage with the band, and she sang backup vocals for the songs Mustang Sally and Chain of Fools. Did you see that? Yeah, that was me. So this is how I interact when we're in public. I approach people at restaurants. I approach people out in the stores. I tell them there's a nut loose behind the wheel, and I will jump on stage and join a band on a whim in a coconut bra and a grass skirt. Used to be, if you used to Google that, my picture would come up, but that has since gone. Okay, let's do the tea. I do believe it has been approximately 5 minutes. Thank you, Marlene. is ready, says the major. Thank you guys for being my timekeepers. We're going to bring this back down. Here's our little lovely little teacup that I just rinsed out. I didn't watch it, but okay. Now, as we have discovered, our tea infuser, where's my camera? Right there. Our tea infuser, it's never as dark as I think it should be. It's always darker once we get it into our cup. So we're just going to set this right here on the edge, and let's get our tea into our vessel here. Oh, nice. Oh my goodness. Can you guys see? I'm going to bring this back up. Can you see all the little bits of the candied pineapple? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to try it. Hang on. Oh, that smells so good. I just steamed up my glasses too. Okay. Let's take a sniff of our tea. Toasted chestnut was what our tea is today. I'm glad you stopped both, Yossi. I'm glad that means you'll be much healthier. So here we go. Let's take a sniff first and see how our toasted chestnut smells. It's got a nice sweet smell to it. And I don't know what it is that's in the toffee, maybe. There's just a very light sheen of oil on top from the nuts, I bet. Nut oils, the hazelnuts and the chestnuts. I bet you there's nut oils in there, and that has come to the surface. Let's take a teeny little sip and see if we need to add anything to it. Ooh, that's nice. I don't think I need to add anything to this tea today. This is a really nice, fragrant, slightly sweet, not too sweet. You can taste a little bit of the toffee-esque. Is that for me, Major? Oh, that's nice. Let's get back to our story while we enjoy our tea. Much love all around. Okay, so we've determined that I'm a nut when I'm out in public, and you cannot contain me to normal societal norms, let's say. I don't adhere to societal norms. Okay. Oh my gosh, it gets worse. I'm not done telling you how inappropriate I am in public. It gets worse. I wish my best friend Debbie were listening in today, because she could attest to this. I'll have to tell her to listen to the replay on a drive. Oh, so I just told you that I dance on stage in a coconut bra and grass skirt because I can't help myself. Here's the next part. I am guilty of attending an all-women's dessert night at a local church. And I'm in an attempt to get a few giggles from the other ladies at the table, I act like I'm going to get a handful of man booty as the waiter walks by. So as the waiter walks by, I'm like, just to get a laugh from the ladies at the table. You can go to church and be serious, but you got to have fun too. So I was trying to get a laugh. I didn't know these ladies. I only knew my friend. It was her church. So I'm embarrassing her at her church. What I didn't realize was I was sitting next to the waiter's wife. And they were on the worship team of this church. Oh my goodness, that was a funny night. My best friend took me to that party, and amazingly, she has invited me back several times now, but I do try to behave. And in parentheses, I put try because I can't. But I wouldn't be me if I didn't act like, me. I like to jump into random strangers' photos at the park or at a restaurant during a birthday party. But the most memorable of all these was the day at Victoria Gardens. We had visited just about every store, ate mall food, played with the bras, and slingshotted thong underwear in Victoria's Secrets. We really did that. Tried on every fragrance at Bath and Body Works until we smelled like French ladies of the evening. That is really what somebody said to us as we were walking by. They were like, oh, you smell like a French lady of the evening. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. As my husband and my friend were walking down the sidewalk, I noticed a rather large family leaving a restaurant across the street from me. And I'm speaking large in number, not large in mass. Now, this family is dressed to the nines for Sunday service, and they're looking good. Now, remember, this is on a Saturday, though. That just gives you a reference of how they were dressed. They were dressed to the nines. They were looking good. And there were a lot of family members, maybe 25 or 30. They were all so happy and joyous, and obviously had had a great family luncheon together. As they were saying their goodbyes, they're all hugging each other and kissing each other and telling each other how much they love each other. It was oozing with sentiment and emotion, and it was causing quite the spectacle. As I drink another sip of tea, we will move on. Give me 1 second. Oh, that is so nice. They're causing a spectacle, right? And then it happened. I couldn't help myself. I had to get in the middle of that action. I had to get me some of that love. I looked at Jim with that mischievous grin of mine. I looked at my friend who was absolutely clueless as about to what was to take place. And I was off. Like Seabiscuit, I ran across the street at a high gallop. I crossed the street, parted the family seas, and walked right up to the matriarch of the family, and I hugged her. This would be an opportune place in our story to relate to you that this family was African American. Every last family member. I am the only white girl on the block. I am hugging this little old lady and telling her how much I've missed her and how good it was to see her again. You could have heard a pin drop. She held me out at arm's length and looked around to the rest of the family with a look of utter confusion. Her expression clearly said, "Who in the blazes brought the white woman?" Her expression was met with equally confused looks. It was just crickets. Nobody knew what was going on. After a long pause and no obvious explanation, that sweet grandma pulled me into her massive bosom and said, "Oh, come here, baby. There's enough love for everybody." And while she's hugging me and I'm looking over her shoulder and I've got her in that same embrace, I'm hand signaling to the other family members, "Call me. Give me a call. I miss you." I hold up my pretend telephone to my ear. It didn't take long for the laughter to start, and before you know it, I was accepted into the family fold, getting hugs from everyone in that family. I told them it had been far too long. Let's get together soon. Let's do this again. And don't forget to call me, okay? Call me. As quickly as I had walked into their lives, I walked out, leaving them with their Twilight Zone moment. Jim and my friend were watching from a safe distance, hiding behind a telephone pole, halfway laughing, halfway mortified, and not wanting to be seen in public with me. I get that a lot. People ask me why I do silly things like this. Well, you know what? That family would have had their lunch and gone on their merry way back to life and reality. The luncheon long forgotten. But now I guarantee you that family will remember that day. I would be willing to bet that at family reunions, dinner tables, funerals, baby showers, Thanksgiving dinners, whatever, somebody will say, hey, do you remember when we had lunch with grandma at Victorian Gardens and that crazy white lady acted like she was one of the family? Yes, I created a memory. You need to live, love, and laugh and make memories. And I've got a picture of myself in here, what I looked like that day. And I put, yes, officer, that is the white girl that crashed our family reunion. Let me put the picture up here. That was that day. Can you imagine me just walking, looking like that, just walking right up into the middle of us, what would be the equivalent of a Southern Baptist family reunion? Oh my goodness, I had such a wonderful time. When is Jim on next? We're going to be coming on Saturday morning. We were on Saturday and Sunday this last week. He'll be coming again on Saturday. Good morning, Rochelle. So that is my story for today, is I have a habit of crashing family reunions. That toasted chestnut is so good. That's not the only time I've done that. When I was going through my chemotherapy treatment and I was wearing a bandana, much like this one, but I had no hair, I had no eyebrows, no eyelashes, nothing. My family had gone for a dinner about, I don't know, 70, 80 miles from here, from the farm. And we had gone to a steakhouse and we were in a corner booth. So there were, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 of us kind of just crammed into this corner booth. And there was a party to my right. And it was a large family that they had pushed all these tables together. There were probably 30 people. And again, an African-American family. And man, they were just having so much fun. They were laughing and sharing stories with each other. And just, I couldn't help myself. I looked at Jim again and he knew what I was going to do. He's like, don't do it. I was like, I can't help it. So I noticed that there was one gentleman who just seemed exceptionally friendly. You know, you can kind of get that vibe from people. Sometimes you know the people, sometimes you can approach and some you can't. And I knew he was very approachable. And I walked up behind him and I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, excuse me, everybody here, can you guys liven things up a little bit? I think you're being a little too quiet. And life's too short to be this glum. And at first they thought I was really reprimanding them, like telling them to be quiet. And I wasn't. I was telling them, come on, guys, life's a party. Of course, they were already having a party. And once they realized what I said, they got some laughs. They were like, come here, come talk to us. And I just abandoned my own family. And I started just, walking around and meeting people. We did pictures. A couple of them friended me on Facebook. And I'm happy to say that was in 2015. So here we are 7 years later. And that man that I approached is still friends with me on Facebook. He writes to me every so often and I write to him. He calls me his sister in Christ. He's like, sister, how are you doing? I was like, brother, I'm doing fine. And, he's always sending me blessings. He's always just such a kind gentleman. I went into that town again a few years ago and I said, hey, I'm coming into town. Let's get together for pie. I'm coming with a couple of coworkers and let's get together and have some pie. And he met us for pie. The ladies loved him and he picked up the tab, which was not expected, but was a nice added treat. And it was just so wonderful to see him. And I just wrote him the other day. I said, it's been too long. We need to get together again. So next time I start heading out that way to that town, I'm going to contact him and say, hey, we got a pie date. So we'll get together for pie. Love the life you love and love the life you live. Absolutely. You need something stronger than tea today, Rochelle? Oh my goodness. Good morning, CB. Good morning. What tea are we drinking today? Rochelle wants to know. Today, Rochelle, we are drinking this lovely, lovely concoction called, let me see if I can get this right, roasted chestnut. So for those of you who are just joining us, let me put my spectacles back on, my glasses, and read to you the ingredients again of this delicious tea. While I find it on my box, make sure you hit the thumbs up, guys. I'd appreciate it. Roasted chestnut. So today we have black tea, apple, candied pineapple, hazelnut brittle, brown sugar, natural hazelnut and cream flavoring, roasted chicory root, honey bush, chestnuts, and stevia extract. It is delicious. I've not added any additional sweeteners to it. I've not added any milk. I've not added any lemon, despite the fact that I have them all here. I was so disappointed when I got home last night and realized I forgot to get the fresh lemon at the store, so I just still have my lemon juice that I use for baking and such. That is so nice. It's not overpowering. It's a pleasant little tea. And I like that we steeped a little bit less today. We used a little bit less water because I'm finding that when I fill my infuser up to where I think it needs to be to take care of this cup, I always leave a little bit. I don't finish it because then it gets too cold because I'm spending all my time speaking with you guys. Rochelle is sewing projects. Oh, and they're making her angry. She's getting frustrated with her sewing projects. I didn't bring my current project to the computer today. I will do that tomorrow. I finished my snood. So I don't know if I'm entirely thrilled with it. I did something a little different for the elastic in it to hold it on. I did not thread a ribbon through. I did not go with thin elastic. When I was at the store yesterday, I found some elastic headbands on clearance. And so I grabbed those on clearance and I just crocheted the headband into the snood, and we'll see how that works. You're canning potatoes and trying dogs. Wait, are you trying dogs? Or you have trying dogs that are trying your patience and your listing? Thank you, CB. Major says, I'm sick of stitches too. Are you sewing by hand today, Major? Is that what you're doing? So, the one time that I can think of where I interjected myself into someone's life where it didn't go well was, I think I shared with you before about how I had stayed up at a bed and breakfast in a gold mining community. And I had met the gentleman who, as a little boy, knew Laura Ingalls Wilder. And that was such a neat thing. That was such a great time that I chose to leave my own table, go sit with another table, introduce myself, and strike up a conversation. And here I met this man who, as a little boy, used to go over to Laura Ingalls' house, her and Al Manzo's home down in Missouri. And his mother would take her letters to the family for Laura to proofread them. That was such an amazing experience. Well, at that same visit, a stitch in time, I get you. During that same visit, what was really neat is this was an old hotel built, I think, like in 1890. It had been built and was run by a gentleman named Albert. They called him Uncle Albert, and he was an emancipated freeman. He was an emancipated slave. He was a freeman, and he had moved from the South to Southern California, and he built this hotel for this gold mining community, and he ran it. He was a successful businessman. So it has since been taken over as a bed and breakfast. So we went to go stay at this bed and breakfast. And every day at 5 o'clock, they opened the parlor up for tea time. So we were down at tea time. Tea time had just been wrapping up. I think we went out and we did some walking around town and came back, and it was chilly and cold. And they had the potbelly stove in the middle of the parlor all lit. And we were standing around getting warm. And oh, you're training a dog. I gotcha. Gotcha. We're standing around getting warm, and this elderly gentleman walks in with his wife. And I don't know why, but I just felt transported back in time. I wanted to be silly. And I was imagining back in the day when families would sit up and wait for their daughter to be brought home after they've gone out courting and coming in after dark. And this gentleman walked in, and I said, "Where have you been, young lady?" I said, "Kind sir, it's about time you brought our daughter home. We have been up and wrought with worry." I said, "Young lady, go to your room." And that man looked at me and goes, I've had just about enough of you. It's like, oh, okay. He did not see the humor in it. I thought it was very humorous, but he was going to put me in my place real quick. If they just would have played along with it, it would have been so much funner. Please show you. It's coming along, Major. I think we posted week 31. I'm going to be editing and putting week 32 up. Equus, what do you want to see? What is it you want to see? He says, please show us. I don't know what you want to see. Anyways, so toasted chestnut, very lovely. I put a link to David's tea in the description box below. They have all kinds of sales going on right now. I am not sponsored by them. I do not get any kind of kickback if you order from them. It's just my way of sharing with you the link in case you want to try any of these teas. So far, my favorites have been the Merry Mistletoe, which is what Marlene is having this morning. I think my other favorite is, of course, this toasted chestnut and the Northern Star, the one we had the other day that had that little, like almost like a little shortbread cookie in it that was a Northern Star, and it melted when we put it in. Oh, it was so delicious. Those are my three favorites. So I think I really do like the sweeter, fun blends. Although I have to admit, after I had some input from you guys yesterday, I really did enjoy that green tea. That was a lovely green tea. Once I added the honey and the lemon, it was very enjoyable. And if you're just now joining us, what was really nice about that is I have something going on with my eye. And yesterday, the tea leaves, the spent tea leaves, were still in my little infuser. And so I made a green tea leaf poultice to put on my eye last night. And I put it with heat packs last night to see if it would help. So that was kind of neat. So let's see. What else do we have to share today? We are coming up on almost 50 minutes. Still trying to wait to see what Equus Eyes wants. Or is it Equus? I want to make sure I'm saying it properly. I have no way to say that, but just know it's in honest earnest that I'm trying. Still wanting to see what he wants to see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not worse, Rochelle. So who knows if it really helped, but I did make a poultice out of the green tea leaves. I did that several times last night. So it's not worse, but don't necessarily know it's better. I finally went to bed because I was just so tired. But I feel like I've got a grape nut, a little cereal nugget underneath my eyelid. Every time I blink, it's just terribly painful. So we'll see how things go with it. But, and just in time for a Christmas party on Saturday too. And so I wish the Christmas party was pirate themed. I could wear a pirate hat and a patch over my eye and everything would be wonderful. But instead, I'm going to wear a lovely wrap, a black skirt, and hopefully my snood that I made that will hold my hair back, and hopefully it will be pretty enough that I'll be able to get away with it. I did go to the library yesterday, and I checked out several more books on the Civil War, and I'll have them set up on a little table. They've asked me to speak about our trip down to some Civil War battlefields. So I will be bringing some books, and today I think I'll try to put together just a little video. I'll probably put it on Facebook so that as we watch it, maybe I'll get some view hours just of some of the battlefields. I probably won't talk. It will just be maybe some slow motion of some monuments, some locations where some battles were held, and some different things like that. And I'll just have that on the table with me, and it will just play. I have not been to the UK. No, I've not. I've been out of the country a few times, but not to the UK. I've been to Guatemala. I've been to Jamaica, Mexico, but that's the extent. I've never even been up north, just a couple 100 miles to Canada. That will be coming soon. I'm hoping I get to go to Canada to see Niagara Falls, which will kind of put me where I might be able to visit a couple people here. You want to see my sewing projects. I'm going to bring the sewing project tomorrow. Wink, wink. Tomorrow I will have the snood so you can see it. It's in the other room right now. I haven't even finished it off, so it's still attached to a ball of yarn, and I don't want to risk grabbing it and having anything come unraveled. I'll finish that off today. I'm hoping to do my hair up tomorrow and maybe do some 1940s makeup tomorrow and we'll see if we can get a little vintage look going with the snood, and I'll wear the snood tomorrow. Yes, I mean Brampton Gardner. What did I say? Oh, I was going to say, I did say Brampton Gardner about coming to Canada. Equus wants to see your sewing projects, Brampton Gardner. Is that what you're saying? Your sewing that's driving you insane? You know me, I can't keep anything straight. I will share with you before we go. I'm listening to a book on tape, and I listen to it while I drive into town. And it was actually in the free pile at the library. It was a donation cart, and they had things you can just put a little bit of money into the donation jar, and you can take whatever you want off the donation cart. And they had an audio book, and I thought, well, this one looks interesting. It's an audio book by Rob Lowe. And you know, since I've kind of been going through this whole Little House on the Prairie thing and reading a couple of autobiographies from the actors from Little House on the Prairie, I had read Melissa Gilbert's. Now, Melissa Gilbert at one time had been engaged to Rob Lowe. So I thought, oh, Rob Lowe, I'll see if he talks about her in his autobiography book. So I've been listening to it. He's a very good storyteller. He reads his own book in this audiobook. And I've enjoyed the stories he's told so far. And he was telling a story last night. It was so funny. He was telling a story about how when he was growing up, he was really enthralled with like Bigfoot stories and Sasquatch stories. And it just really enthralled him. And he says he even has some notes from when he was a little boy where he would go to the library and write notes, you know, and he kept them in a little tin that he had taken from his mother, anything about where the sightings were and all this. Well, he had two young sons at home at the time. I think they were like 7 and 10. And his family had decided they were going to go on a camping trip by RV up into the Pacific Northwest. And he thought this would be a great time to really bring Bigfoot to life for his kids. So he had gone to a Hollywood soundstage and movie production stage, and he'd gone into the prop area, and he found a Bigfoot costume, and he compared it to kind of like Harry and the Hendersons, if you've ever seen that movie. Let's see. Dexter's mom, it's a she. I sewed the collar fabric upside down, so I had upside down owls and seam rippling fleeces. No joke. Oh my goodness. Okay, Marlene. Oh, Equus is a her. I apologize. And I hope I'm saying it right again. I'm so sorry. Let's see. So he gets this costume. He's like, this is it. And he says it's a very realistic looking costume. It has really deep, dark, deep set eyes. So it's a little bit more ominous than Harry and the Hendersons. And they go camping, and where they're camping at the first little gift shop they stop at, they have all this big stuff, merchandise, or not big stuff, Bigfoot, Bigfoot merchandise. And so he gets a couple things from the merchandise table, and he says to the lady at the counter, he says, so if you had any Bigfoot, sightings lately? And she goes, oh, not in a while. And she was kind of serious, and she was telling some stories about how she believes she had had a couple encounters as a young girl. And he's like, oh, this is great, because this is just going to play into his plan with his kids, right? So they go camping. They've got the campfire set up, and he sneaks off into the woods, and he hides the costume. Then at nighttime, while they're having s'mores and everything, he goes off into the woods, and he does this like primal scream that is supposed to be, like a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. And he just told the kids he was going to run off to the bathroom or something. He comes back and the kids are like, oh my gosh, Dad, you missed it. Did you hear that? We heard Bigfoot. And they're buying it. They're just eating it hook, line, and sinker. So the time comes where he excuses himself again. He knows the moment is right. His brother-in-law starts playing a guitar. They're going to sing some songs, and he knows that's his cue that he can sneak away and do this moment. It looks like a glass of whiskey, not tea. Well, Papa Jim has some Jack Daniels right there, but I promise it's tea. Are you saying I didn't steep it dark enough? Major? It tastes good. I mean, it's not a dark, dark, dark tea. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I should have added less water. I don't know. Still tastes good. I am not a tea aficionado. But I am enjoying this one. Anyways, The time comes, Rob Lowe goes off into the forest and he starts putting on this Sasquatch costume. And he says he made a fatal mistake. He didn't try it on before they left, and he didn't realize that it's a very small costume when you go to put it on. And so much so that putting it on over his clothing was proving to be very difficult. And he decided there was no way he was going to go out there with no clothes on underneath. So he squeezed it up over his clothes. And if you can imagine, he's like that little kid on a Christmas Story, that's all stuffed into their snowsuit and they can't walk. So he's all stuffed into this costume. And the mask has eye slits so he can see where he's going. He said the eye slits are like 4 inches too low. So he's having to walk, or were they too high? He's having to walk like this, I think it was. So he's trying to walk all stiff. He can't hardly move. And as he gets close to the campfire, he trips and falls. And the costume is so tight, he can't stand back up. He's like a turtle on his back. He rolls over, he's on his hands and knees, and he starts letting out these screams of a Sasquatch. He's got to try to find an exit. He's trying to get up on his knees so he can get out of there when he sees one of the kids walking up to him. And the kid's like, "Get out of here." He's yelling at it like it's a rogue dog or something, He's like, "Get out of here, Bigfoot." And the kid walks up just as Rob Lowe is starting to gain his footing to stand up. And he kicked him squarely in the wedding tackle. Hard. And Rob Lowe says the screams that came out that time were not fake Bigfoot screams. They were real screams. The kid's yelling at him and he's kicking him. And he kind of gets back on his hands and knees and he crawls off into the woods. And this kid's like, "Yes, I just kicked Bigfoot's butt." And so Rob Lowe is crawling and he doesn't know where he is. He's completely disoriented and he's trying to pull himself up by a tree, and he finds that he bumps into somebody's tent. And the man in the tent's like, "Who's out there?" And he can hear a shotgun rack. He's like, he knows he's going to get shot. And all that just to make this impression on the kids. But he says once he got away from the tent, and the man couldn't get the zipper open on the tent. So luckily, he could have been hurt. He gets away from the tent. He gets back out. He's able to get this costume off, and he hides it, and he goes back into tent. He limps back into where his tent is, where the little campfire is. And the kids are like, "Dad, you missed it. Bigfoot was here. I kicked his booty. I saved the whole family." And he said those kids talked about it all night long. And they still talk about it. They're grown adults now, and they just talk about it. That was one of the memories. And I think it's so wonderful that even at almost the expense of his life, he made some really great memories for his kids. And there'll be a couple of stories in my blog where I attempted to make some memories for my kids as well. Nothing to that caliber, though. But we had some great times when we were camping, too. But, when he tells me that, it reminds me of when we took the kids snipe hunting. Do you guys know what snipe hunting is? It's when you take your kids out in the dark into a field or in the forest, and there are these little snipes. They're little birds with, big teeth. And they're very elusive. You never see them because they're not real. But the kids don't know that. You go out on a snipe hunt. And while you're in the dark walking around, you get, I'm saying it perfectly. Wonderful. Thank you. You pick up a rock and you throw it. And when it lands, you're like, "Oh, there's a snipe over there." And the kids run over there, and then you throw another rock over here and they run over there. And we took our kids snipe hunting several years ago, and it was so much fun. We were up in the mountains, we're walking around, and they were like, "Where's the snipes?" And we're throwing stuff. Well, then we're like, "Oh, we got one. And we put a pine cone in a paper bag, and we're shaking the paper bag so it sounds like there's a snipe in there rattling around. And the kids are just like, "Oh my gosh, I got to see it." It's like, no, they have huge teeth. And if we open the bag, they're going to get out, and we got to get back to camp. And then as we're walking, around, and they're still looking for more snipes. I don't know. I think the kids appreciated the magic in it. Rochelle. What we would do then is while we were walking, we would tear a little hole, like a really ragged, jagged hole in the corner of the bag, and let that pine cone fall out. And when we get back to camp, it's like, "Oh no, It escaped. It's chewed its way through its bag, and it's here in camp somewhere. And the kid's like, ah! Because we just made this out to have this big, huge teeth and everything. Oh my God, it's so much fun. Oh, I remember taking, oh, the FedEx man is here. I remember taking kids out on snipe hunts when I was like 8 and 9 years old because my parents lived at a camp and my mother was the nurse for a camp and my dad was the handyman. And so I remember going out with the camp counselors and taking all of these gullible kids from the city on these snipe hunts. It was wonderful. So I did it to my own grandkids and my kids. And, you know, when you say, Rochelle, that kid must have been disappointed when they read that chapter, for the most part, my kids love the stories that I've told them. If you've ever seen the movie Big Fish, I just buy into that whole mentality of really making life's stories, you know, more magical and wonderful. And I'm glad you like that one, Yossi. But I have one son who he feels that he was a little bit cheated and that I lied to him. And it's like, I wasn't intentionally lying to you, although I was just trying to introduce a little magic into your life. And if you've ever seen the movie Big Fish, if you haven't, it's a good movie. You know, this father tells these great elaborate stories, and especially about, you know, the day that this kid was born, his son, and his son asked the doctor that delivered him, he goes, you know, how was I really born? Because my dad tells this big story. There's no way it could have happened that way. And the doctor says, well, your mother came in around 11 o'clock and you were born at 3 a.m. It was a textbook delivery, no complications. And that's pretty much it. And the kid's like, oh, he goes, yeah. So which one do you prefer now? A really mundane, by the book delivery story, or the one that your dad tells with all of these really great concepts and storylines and everything? The kid who has felt cheated his entire life by these stories comes to see the magic in the stories that his dad would tell. It's a really beautiful story. If you've not seen Big Fish, it's really good. Equus as in equestrian. That's what I was thinking. I just meant he probably thought he'd beat up Bigfoot. Yeah, he probably did really think for the longest time that he had beat up Bigfoot. And you know what? That reminds me, Rochelle, you've just selected tomorrow's story for us from my blog about how kids believe certain things and they take it into their adulthood, because I wonder how many times that kid like went off to college and told people, yeah, I beat the crap out of Bigfoot when I was a kid, kicked him right there in the twig and berries. And see how many kids were like, yeah, right. So it would be interesting to, my little dog is up to something. It would be interesting to see how he does feel about that now that he realized he really just kicked his dad. And, but I have a story. I'll share it tomorrow. I'll make sure I pull it up. Remind me. Whose idea was it to frighten the life out of the kids? It was a joint effort between all the adults, because it's just one of those kid things. I don't know who started the whole snipe hunt thing, but at camp, it was great. I also remember we used to take the kids at camp. We used to take them. And I wish my best friend Debbie was in here because she was part of this too. I think she was one of the original kids that I terrorized at camp, because she had come over in a Girl Scout group to camp there one time when, I don't know, I think I was 8, maybe she was 10. But we used to take the kids out on tours, you know, let's go see the horses and we're going to walk around through the camp here. And we had like a boot hill, like a fake covered wagon with stumps for little stools around a fire pit. And we had little headstones, like it was a boot yard, like it was a graveyard. I wouldn't frighten kids. I was responsible for getting to sleep. Oh, I'm not going to comment. They went to sleep. They chatted and chatted and chatted until they went to sleep about the snipes. But anyways, what would be funny is as we're walking, these kids from the city around the camp were telling them, you know, about the legend of Crooked Leg McGee or whatever, you know. And then when we would get to where the campfire was with the wagon and stuff, the counselors would be behind the headstones and they would wiggle the headstones like, oh my God, he's coming out of the grave. And the kids were like, ah! They'd run and scatter. It was funny. And I remember my friend saying, you just love terrorizing all of the Girl Scouts. And I was a tomboy. I was like, yes, I did. Yes, I did. It was so much fun. All right, Rochelle, we will see you tomorrow. Come back for the story tomorrow, and I will share with you about one of my big fish stories that followed my son into adulthood and his realization that his mama was spinning yarns. All right, friends, that's it for today. All the links are in the description below for the tea kettle, the tea infuser, David's tea if you want to order some teas, and also, I put the book in there that I mentioned the other day about the Civil War book from when we were at the Carnton Plantation in Tennessee. And that's it for today. We will see you tomorrow at 10:15 on your way out. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, please do so. And I'm gonna stop this broadcast, but I'm gonna try to go over to YouTube and see if Rochelle, if I can give you your wrench. Okay, I'm gonna try to take care of that. All right, friends, I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And I love you guys. Bye-bye. I'm going to hit the button that says end broadcast. There's always a delay. Bye, says Yossi.